So the man or the woman said, may Allah curse shaitan. Shaitan caused my camel to do this. The Prophet ﷺ said, do not mention shaitan like that, because if you do, his ego will become so big, he will become bigger than a house, because you ascribed this to shaitan. Rather say, Bismillah. And when you do so, shaitan will become smaller than an atom. What was the power that was used? The name of Allah. The name of Allah, Iman, caused the shaitan to become insignificant. It is possible, it's not too much of a stretch, to say that Dajjal will have instruments of protection, looks like protection and food and drinks, and instruments of torture and evil and whatnot. When the people see, they will be terrified and they will rush to the gardens, thinking that that's going to save them and that's going to destroy them in the akhirah. Our Prophet ﷺ said, if you have no choice, you have between the garden and the fire, jump into the fire of the Dajjal. It is very possible, it's not a stretch, that this, as we said, torture of Dajjal might actually be physical. Could be armies of evil people and you know, whatever, jinn, shayateen. And if you jump into it, putting your trust in Allah, you will go unharmed. Everybody will run away and you will be safe because your iman in Allah will save you. So this is the test of iman when you see the actual Dajjal. Also, our Prophet ﷺ described the Dajjal as being ahmar. And ahmar means what? Oh, Arabs, what does ahmar mean? Red. Do you think he will be red? Dajjal will be red? Brownish? You made him a desi? No. We just said, where is he from? He's not a desi, don't worry. What is red? The Arabs of old, they would call what we call in modern vernacular Caucasian, they would call them reddish or yellowish. Ahmar or asfar was the term the Arabs used to describe the Caucasian types of people. Okay? The term white was not, generally abiyad wasn't used to describe skin color. Okay? Ahmar, because what happens when they go in the sun, the tan and whatnot, they become ahmar, literally, like, yellow and whatnot. Even this native Indians, what they call them, yellow face, pale face. This is their term for them, not my term, is their term. So the notion of them being yellowish or reddish, right? So when the hadith mentions any nation or race as being yellow or red, this is our equivalent of that complexion. Okay, so the Prophet described him as being ahmar, and ahmar means basically of that race. And again, it fits into the description of the ethnicity of the Dajjal. As well, the Prophet said that his hair will be curly. Ja'd is curly hair. His hair will be curly. He also described him as being relatively short. He also described him as being broad-chested. He also described him, as we said, as having legs that are not straight. So he's not walking in a straight gait. He has basically deformed legs. So these are all descriptions that are given of the Dajjal. And he also mentioned in Hadith in Musnad Imam Ahmad that the majority of people who follow Dajjal will be from the Yahud, and also he said from the women. Now, why will the women follow the Dajjal? Because of the safety given. At that time there will be chaos, at that time there will be hunger and starvation, and so those who choose to follow the Dajjal, they will have that safety. And so it is possible that in that time frame, in that chaos and whatnot, certain types of people will be attracted to the false promises of safety that the Dajjal gives. As well, as we had mentioned, the Dajjal, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the Dajjal will come, will appear between Iraq and Sham, and he will go through every single city in the world. He will go through every single city in the world. Now, I've already mentioned last class that every city, kullu in Arabic, does not mean each and every without exception. This is not the meaning of kullu in Arabic. Kullu in Arabic can and typically does mean the majority. This is what typically the word kullu means. And unfortunately in English, most of the translators, when they translate kullu, they translate it as each and every. Yani the point is that the majority of cities and the large cities in the world, Dajjal will go through all of those cities, except of course for which city? Mecca and Medina. And we learn from the ahadith that our Prophet ﷺ said, he shall try to enter Mecca and Medina. He shall try to enter Mecca and Medina, and he shall be stopped at the gates of Mecca and Medina by the angels. So if you want to be safe from the Dajjal, one of the things that you can do is to flee to Mecca and Medina during that time frame. As well, in the hadith in Sahih Muslim, our Prophet ﷺ said that Dajjal will try to enter Medina and he shall be prevented from doing so, and then he shall cause the city of Medina to tremble 3 times, is an earthquake. So the jinn, the shayateen will stamp on the city, and there will be the notion of the earthquake. So people will think this is the destruction of Medina, that Dajjal is causing the destruction of Medina. So our Prophet ﷺ said that the munafiqun will all flee Medina, and Medina will be left pure with believers. Who will remain in Medina? Those who believe in the hadith. Those who believe in hadith, do you understand where I'm coming from? It's prediction. When Medina will start shaking and there's a man outside the door claiming to be God, you have already been warned by the Prophet ﷺ, stay in Medina. So the only people that will remain in Medina will be the ones who believe in the Prophet ﷺ and not in Dajjal. So our Prophet ﷺ said, Medina is like a furnace. It separates the chaff from the purity. It separates the abnormalities, or it filters the filth from the pure, like the furnace does. The furnace purifies. You know, the mineral ore comes out, purifies. Medina is like a furnace. And he said this hadith in the context of Dajjal. So Dajjal will filter through Medina. And therefore, this also explains, when I talked about the Mahdi 3 or 4 weeks ago, why will many of his followers, the Mahdi, why will his followers be from Medina? Because Medina will be 100% pure. 100% pure. So who's going to go and fight on the side of the Mahdi and on the side of Isa? The people of Medina will stay there, and they will then go out when the Mahdi comes. That is when the people of Medina will exit, and they will fight under the banner of the Mahdi. And the Mahdi, of course, will be fighting the Dajjal, as I have already mentioned when we talked about the Mahdi. So the Dajjal will come to Mecca and Medina, but will be prevented from entering. And wherever he goes, he will gather more and more followers, and he will gain a very, very large army. Now, we also learn that the Dajjal, the Dajjal will go to Medina. This is a very interesting hadith, and I actually looked this up when I first read it. I couldn't believe it was that explicit. I actually went back to Muslim Imam Ahmad and looked at it, but this hadith is in Muslim Imam Ahmad. And it says that the Dajjal will go to one of the mountains outside Medina after he has been denied entry by the angels. And he will take his followers to one of the mountains outside of the Haram's boundary. Outside of the Haram's boundary. Folklore and superstition says that it is the mountain where one of the major palaces is, but Allah knows best. That's folklore and superstition, which might not be far from the truth given all that's happening right now. But anyway, so the Dajjal will take his followers to that mountain, and the hadith says, he shall point to the masjid and he shall say, do you see that white house? Al-Bayt al-Abyad, the White House, not the White House here in DC. Do you see that white house? That is the house and the masjid of Ahmad. And he will call him Ahmad, not Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Why is this so interesting? Because if you ever fly into Medina, if you look down from the airplane, you will see a massive white complex. Because it's all marble. And you can see it for many, many miles. And you can see it from the mountaintops, you can see it from the plane. I have had the pleasure of flying into Medina many, many times. And it is truly beautiful. It's beautiful because this is a very massive complex, as you know, and it is white. And you can see it from far away.